Hi, my name is Tina, and this is Knitting Blooms. Thanks so much for joining me today. I have been knitting a little bit in the last couple of weeks. I am knitting today, and I will show you my project shortly. But I do not have that much progress again. And one of the reasons is because I started a new job this week. And there probably will be very limited knitting time because I'm trying to get used to a new schedule, and obviously there's no knitting at work, maybe during lunch or something like that, but yeah, I have very limited knitting time. Goodness gracious, maybe I need another cup of coffee. It is actually after work on Thursday when I'm recording this, and it's been a good week. Sammy is actually currently off insulin. I don't know how long he's going to be off insulin, but we are starting a off the insulin trial today to see how he does. I think I had mentioned that I thought I had inadvertently increased his dose. Maybe I didn't. Maybe that was what I figured out in the last week or so. But yeah, I had inadvertently increased his dose because I changed the method of how I was measuring his dose, and his numbers went way up, and I couldn't figure out why. And I thought, well, what's going on? So I decided to try reducing his insulin to see how that goes, and he did well on that. And we just reduced down to nothing on Tuesday earlier this week, just to see what was happening, because his numbers would go down and then they would go back up again, and it was just very confusing. So we're trying without insulin to see how he does, if his pancreas can handle the full load, or if we're going to have to go back to insulin for just a small dose, even though we were on a very small dose and his numbers were still rising. We'll just have to wait and see. But like I said, I did get a new job, and I'm really enjoying it so far. It's a great company to work for so far. I mean, the people are really nice, and it's a much larger company than what I've been working for in the past. It's still a small company, but it's larger when you're working with a company of 5 people and you go to a company that has 30 or 45 people in the office. That's a big difference. But it's a big change, and like I said, so far I'm enjoying it, and I think there's a lot of potential for advancement and for advancing my skills and helping the company advance as well. So I have a few questions that you guys have proposed to me in the last couple of weeks, which I will answer today. We do not have any drawings today. At least I don't think I'm forgetting any drawings. If I am, I'm sorry. Please contact me and let me know that I forgot to do a drawing for something. But I don't think there's any drawings. We did maize. I think we did maize. Knit. What is today? I think we did maize knit your stash prizes. I have to double check that, but I think we did last time. So we don't have that until the end of till after the end of June for June. But I'm gonna quickly, before we get to the questions, I'm going to quickly go through my projects and just kind of give you an idea of what I have worked on this week and what I haven't worked on. The last time I think I told you I worked on my sock yarn blanket. You know what? It's the weeks are running together, and I really don't remember what we talked about last time. I think I told you that I worked on my sock yarn blanket. I can't remember when the last time was that I recorded. Oh my goodness. I mean, I think it was only 2 weeks ago, but I don't know, I don't remember the date. And we had a VKN in there sometime, and that's when I did all my squares. But I have not worked on that blanket since that VKN. I don't think I've really worked on the citron either. The log cabin blanket, I worked on a couple of rows here or there. The elk tooth shawl is still hibernating, and the knit swirl is still hibernating as well. And the never shall meet still is not been out of the bin. Preemie hats, haven't done them. We do have a VKN on Saturday, so if you're watching this Saturday morning, we are having a VKN Saturday night. So maybe I will commit myself to working on preemie hats during the VKN to try and get those caught up. I'm pretty sure I have May and June to catch up, so that's probably at least 8, probably 8 or 9 hats that I need to get done. That's going to be a lot. Ecuador have not restarted that. Clogs haven't done anything with that. And the Fall Mystery Knit Along, my large size, I did a couple rows. I think I did mention that last time. After Knit Club, I worked on mine for a little while, but I haven't done anything in the last week or so. What I have worked on in the last couple weeks are the polka dot scarf. I did a few repeats. I want to say 2 full repeats and another half, I think. So that's coming along. Basic socks I've worked on just pretty much when I go outside to sit with Sammy when he wants to go out, when I'm reading, and that's about it. I have taken that project with me back and forth to work in hopes that maybe during lunch I would have a chance to work on them for a little bit. But so far this week, between going out to lunch with my new coworkers and just finding my way around the building and stuff like that, I really haven't pulled out the knitting. I have also worked a little bit on the sugar maple top, which I'm really enjoying, and the Tappan Zee, which is what I'm working on now. So let me just finish this row really quick and I'll give you a quick look at it. This is actually yarn. This is Sock Bunny yarn, and this was yarn that she gifted to me for my birthday this year because I had contacted her and wanted to purchase some. Even though she wasn't dyeing, she said that she would possibly be able to dye it up for me, and then she sent it to me as a birthday gift, so that was really sweet of her. But here we go. It's her DK base, and I think the colorway is Oh That's Pretty, or Ooh That's Pretty, but it's not on the label, so I'm not 100% sure about that. But I love it. And here is the pattern. Let's see if it'll focus. There we go. And it's going to be absolutely beautiful. I am on the lower section where I'm working on just the stockinette portion, which is why I can work on it while I chat with you. But yeah, I finished up the pattern part last weekend, I think, and started working on the stockinette part, and now it's just stockinette for, like, I want to say something like 12 rows or 12 inches or 13 inches or something to that effect. I am still on the first 2 balls, which I am alternating. I have 4 balls and I am still on the first 2, so I think I'll have plenty. I'm not really sure exactly, but I think I will. I think I'll have plenty to make it as long as I want. And then I still have my swatch if I need to take that out. That will be my insurance policy if I get close to running out. But this project is really going nicely. It is a DK superwash, and I haven't really worked a lot with superwash, so I'm not real sure how that's going to go, but I'm sure it's going to be great because so far this yarn has been absolutely fabulous to work with. So that's what I've been working on this week, and honestly, it's not that much. We haven't had that many shows to watch this week because, you know, it's summertime and most of the normal evening programs, the primetime programs, are done for the summer. We do have a couple of summer programs that we watch, like MasterChef, and even Hell's Kitchen ended. I want to say Drop Dead Diva is a summer show too, but I haven't seen that starting yet. We also got rid of our cable TV this week. We just decided that everything that we want to watch and are interested in watching, we can watch on Hulu or on the websites for the different channels. So we just thought, you know what? We could save a bunch of money by getting rid of cable TV, because I never watch it. When I'm at home and I'm watching TV, I'm usually watching YouTube or something on Netflix. So we have Netflix, and we have Amazon Prime, and we have Hulu, and between the three of them, I think we're pretty much covered. So yeah, so we got rid of cable TV, but in the process, we ended up boosting our internet speed. So now we have like 100 megabyte download speed and 10 megabyte upload speed. So remember a few months ago when I told you that we upped our speed, and my uploads for my podcast were screaming fast? Well, now it's twice as fast. Twice as fast as when we upped it the first time. So I think it took me like 5 minutes to upload a 20-minute podcast or 20-minute Sims video the other day. 5 minutes. Yeah, it was pretty crazy. But I'm okay with that. Anyway, so yeah, so we have no cable TV, and we're just going to see how it goes. I mean, I guess if we run into a problem or wish we had it back, we can always get it back, but I think we're saving like $100 a month. And we even got to up our internet speed. So those are the projects. So now let's go ahead and go to the questions. Okay, so the first question is from JK Quilts Knits, and they ask, what are your favorite types of items to knit besides socks? Why do you guys always have to give me these besides questions? Shawls, sweaters, hats. You seem to do a lot of everything, but just wondered if you lean to certain ones or in particular. Well, I would say that I don't necessarily lean to specific projects in general. I like to knit sweaters. I like to knit scarves, or not really scarves, but shawls and cowls, like the one that I had on a few weeks ago, the Adama, I think it's Adama cowl. In fact, I have a new pattern that I'm writing up for a simple kind of cowl that goes around, that's like a little mini poncho. So look for that coming out in the future. And obviously I like socks. I knit those all the time. Although with this new job, I might not be wearing hand knit socks as often, because it's not a fully casual environment, but we'll see. I mean, I could probably wear socks with some Mary Janes or something like that, but I just don't know if I have those kind of outfits. I'd have to see, how it goes. But yeah, but I think the main thing is that I like to knit projects for me. I think mostly because I like the yarn and the colors, and I like the bright colors, and if I'm knitting something for somebody else, I have to knit with colors that they would like. And a lot of times, most people are not as, don't like as vibrant colors. So I think that's why I like to knit projects for myself more than anybody else, because I like the vibrant colors, and it makes me happy to knit with yarn that's pretty and bright and beautiful, like this one. And I mean, I'm just knitting stockinette right now on this sweater, and I'm having a ball because I love the color. Every time I look at it, I smile, and I'm like, oh, this is going to be so pretty. And I can't wait till it's done so I can actually wear it. So I guess that's my answer to that question. I like to knit stuff for me, and I know that's kind of selfish, but that's what I like. And I mean, you see the yarn behind me. I mean, it's all bright colors, and most of the yarn that I have is kind of designated for one type of project or another, or a specific sweater or what have you. But other than that, other than just knitting for myself or what have you, I like all projects. I mean, like I said, I like sweaters. My biggest problem with sweaters, though, is trying to decide which sweater I want to knit. I was really excited about knitting the Ecuador sweater, and I'm still really excited about knitting the Ecuador sweater, but it kind of left a bad taste in my mouth because I didn't swatch properly for it. So I was almost halfway through it, and then I had to rip the whole thing out. So that was kind of discouraging, but I do want to get that project started again. But my biggest thing is just trying to decide which projects I want to spend my time on, because there are so many projects that I want to knit that I just, even when I had more time to knit, I didn't have enough time to knit all the things that I wanted to knit. So I think that's the biggest problem. It's not what I like to knit, it's what I wanna spend my time doing at any given moment. And that changes quite often. The next question is, I'm not sure how to pronounce this user ID, but it's Chev ID 05, maybe, I don't know. It's CHEVID 05 or 05. I'm not sure. But the question is, what has been your favorite tutorial and why is it special to you? Well, I mostly knit tutorials when I'm inspired to, or make tutorials when I'm inspired to make them. But it isn't necessarily, it's just an inspiration at the time. But if I had to choose a favorite tutorial that I have done, I'd have to say that it's my sock tutorials. In general, my sock tutorials. And the reason is because so many people have contacted me after they've watched the video and said, oh my gosh, I've never knit socks before, and I knit my first pair of socks with your videos, with your tutorials. And that just makes me so happy to hear. I know that when I first started knitting socks, I was like, I could not wrap my brain around it. When someone said, oh yeah, knit socks, and I'm like, huh? What? Are you kidding me? I could not wrap my brain around it. Even when I went to a class and we sat down and they're like, okay, cast on and do this, and I'm like, all right, I don't understand. I know they cast on, and I actually took a class in doing a sock on DPNs, but I just could not get the concept of joining in the round. I had never done a project joining in the round. I don't think I had even done a hat at that point. I don't think I had. So yeah, that just makes me so happy that my simple tutorials were able to help people who had never knit socks before knit their first pair, and now they love knitting socks. So that would have to be my favorite tutorial or set of tutorials because of that reason alone, because it's helped so many people. Okay, the next question, I believe this one was actually on YouTube, and it's from Mary Sunshine, and the question is, my question has to do with spit splicing sock yarn. What method do you prefer? The invisible braid, spit splice, or other method? Well, my first inclination is to say don't spit splice sock yarn. Weave in the ends. And the reason for that is because a lot of people like to use sock yarn that has nylon in it. And nylon does not felt. Although if you're using, and most of the time they're using superwash, and I'm pretty sure you can't spit splice a superwash either. So you can't really spit splice. I mean, a lot of people like to use superwash. I don't really care whether it's superwash or not, because actually I find some of my sock yarns that are superwash are just plain merino. They kind of do felt a little bit with wear, and it makes them softer on the bottom of my foot. So the bottom of the foot gets felted a little bit, so the stitches come together into a tighter knit, and then they're kind of smoother and softer on the bottom of my feet. So I don't mind knitting socks with just merino wool or just a wool versus a superwash, but most people prefer to use superwash, and most people prefer to use superwash with a nylon in it. So saying that, I definitely do not recommend spit splicing, because honestly, I don't think it can happen. You might think you might be able to spit splice it, and it seems to hold, but I think that over time, even if it does hold at the beginning, it's probably not a very strong hold, and you're going to be sorry in the end when your socks start falling apart. So weave in the ends. That's what I do. Sock yarn is not that heavy, and if you weave in the ends on the back side, on the inside of the sock, it's not going to make that much of a difference. The other option would be to use the Russian join, and I do have a tutorial for the Russian join. Although that would still not be my first choice as far as the ends for a sock. I would definitely weave them in first, because really you don't really have that many ends anyway. I mean, if you are using a ball of yarn, mostly you're just going to have ends at the toe and the cuff where you've cast on and cast off. When I do self-striping socks, I sometimes will add in, for the heel, I will use the other end of the ball or a contrasting color or something like that, so that I don't mess up my striping pattern on the front side of my socks. So I have a couple more ends. I'll have 4 ends to weave in instead of 2, but really it's not that big of a deal. I just say leave the ends long enough where you can weave them in when you're done, and then you don't have to worry about it. Then you know that the ends are secure, that they're not going to unravel, that they're not going to come apart and then unravel and cause your socks to unravel as well. So that's my opinion on that. And those are all the questions this week. I know there were a couple more questions in the Ravelry group. I will answer those next time. And speaking of next time, I'm not sure how often I'm going to record. I mentioned a few weeks ago that I was thinking about going to a bi-weekly recording, which is what I have been doing. But with this new job and even less time to knit, I just don't know if I am going to really be able to continue doing a bi-weekly. I'm going to try. If you guys continue to send me questions that you want answered, by all means, I will take 3 to 4 questions every week. Not every week, every other week to answer, and then sit with you and chat for a bit, and we'll try and keep that up. But if I don't get questions, then I'm probably going to not have enough to share. I am, however, going to try to keep up the tutorials. I was working on the tutorial for double knitting just this past week, last week actually. I was going to record it last weekend, and I got busy and I didn't record it, but I decided what I was going to share on the tutorial. I probably should make a few notes on that, but I think I could probably sit down and teach the tutorial, and if I have to record it a couple times or whatever. And I have a huge list of tutorials that everybody wants to see. It's just a matter of, you know, figuring out what information I want to share on the tutorial and then recording it and so forth. But I am going to try and keep the tutorials coming at least on weeks that I don't record an actual podcast, at the very least on those weeks. And then if I start, you know, getting very inspired and want to post some extra tutorials, then I might do that, even posting on weeks that I do record. But I can't promise when the next time is that I'm going to record. But like I said, if I can continue to get questions, then I will record every other week. Otherwise, it might be every 3 weeks or something like that. Anyway, I think that's all I've got for you today. I do have some additional book reviews that I need to do, but I don't know when those are going to be either, because those actually take longer for me to do, because I like to sit down and go through the book and write up notes and kind of write up a professional kind of script as I'm going through the books, and then the editing is just unbelievable, trying to get all the pictures in and everything. But I think that a lot of people like the reviews that I've been doing as far as how I've been doing it. So, So I think I'd like to continue doing that, doing it like that, because I think I can provide insight information for my opinion on the different projects and stuff. I just haven't had time to do it. I don't know. I think I probably have 6 books to do reviews on. So we'll have to see how that goes. But other than that, that's all I've got for you this week. Don't forget about the VKN. If you are watching this on Saturday, we are having a VKN on Saturday. And actually, let me just jump over to Safari and see if I can tell you when the other... Why is this not letting me? I usually am signed in, but apparently I'm not signed in right now. So let me tell you when the other VKNs are going to be, because I did schedule VKNs for the next few months, and I think I'm just doing one a month. So we're doing the next one on Saturday, June 27th from 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern Time. That's the day that this video will be posted. And then Sunday, July 19th between 5 p.m. and 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And then Friday, August 21st between 7 p.m. and 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Hopefully one of those times will work for you. I am probably going to book a Saturday morning, maybe in September, like I don't know, like 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. or something like that, for those people that like to do early morning, or for people who are in like the Europe area, in England or that side of the world. That will be like their evening or their afternoon, I think, because they're like 5 to 8 hours ahead of us, depending. So hopefully that will work for some of you. So that will be in September probably. But we do have a few VKNs coming up, and I'm looking forward to VKNs, because that might be probably close to a lot of my knitting time for the next few months, at least, while I get acclimated to this new schedule and so forth. Oh, and one more thing. If you are friends with me on Fitbit, you will know that I am getting back to my walking schedule. I have been getting up at 4:30 in the morning. Yes, 4:30 a.m. to get my walking in or my running before I go to work. I have kind of committed to running 3 days a week, and I walk the other days. I'm still doing a run walk because I haven't done a lot of running, but I think eventually I want to get to the point where I'm running for a full hour, 3 days a week. I mean, that's pretty good. And then maybe once I get to that point, I will increase it again. But for right now, 3 days a week for 60 minutes of, or what I'm doing is I'm doing 60 minutes every day, and I'm adding running in 3 days a week at this point. The longest time I've been running right now is about 10 minutes at a time, and then I take a short walk break, and then I run some more and so forth. So I don't think it'll take me too long to get up to running for 30 minutes or 45 minutes, and then eventually to a full hour. And as I mentioned before, I'm not a fast runner. I'm not trying to win the race. I'm just trying to get to the finish line kind of thing. So I usually run about 5 miles an hour, which is kind of slow, but So I have been doing that. But yeah, other than that, everything is going great. I am doing great. Sammy is off insulin, which is great. So I hope your week is great. And if it's not, well, I'm sorry about that. I hope next week is great. So I will talk to you next time, whenever that might be. So bye for now.
As always, thanks for joining me, and I hope you enjoyed the show. Please feel free to contact me with your comments or suggestions, as I am always trying to improve the show. You can find me on Ravelry, Instagram, and YouTube as Bloomingknitter. You can also find me on Plurk, Twitter, and Pinterest as Bloomingknitter, but I don't frequent those sites as often. I post show updates on Twitter and Facebook, and sometimes to Google Plus and Plurk. I am Miss Aerobics on MyFitnessPal and Fitbit. You can always find all the old episodes as well as links to the tutorials on the blog at www.knittingblooms.com. And you can also follow the show on Facebook. You can email me at knittingblooms@gmail.com, and show notes can be found at knittingblooms.com.